Hello, good day to all of you, and welcome back to my channel. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you. I'm an atheist who loves and likes to celebrate Christmas. You know, a lot of atheists also would like to celebrate this season of gift giving and volunteerism. So I do celebrate Christmas and like Christmas personally because of these aspects of gift giving and volunteerism. So as you can see, I'm wearing some kind of a costume. So I'm fresh from an online masquerade party that I attended a couple of minutes ago, and this is exactly what I wore for that online party. So I would like to tell you that, yeah, I think it's cool, and I like it. And as you can see, I have the Babylon Bees Facebook page pulled up, and I'm going to be reacting to Babylon Bees interview with Elon Musk. And not only that, not just a reaction video, but I'm going to be discussing the context of this interview to Asian viewers or non-American viewers, because in this interview, Elon Musk talks about culture, wokeism in America, the death of comedy, his business model, AI, and a lot of very interesting issues that are really relevant to today's politics and way of life. So, I think this is going to be very interesting to some of you, and I would like to let you know as well that I'm very familiar with American politics. Probably I'm more familiar with American politics than Asian or my country, Philippines politics. So ask me anything about American politics, culture, and pop culture. I can probably talk to you about any of them. And in fact, I have a first YouTube channel in which I have like more than 10,000 American and Western subscribers, and that was hit by YouTube. So this is actually my third channel. So what is the Babylon Bee? Babylon Bee is a satire, online website or online outlet in America. It's right-wing according to a lot of liberal media in America. So according to them, it's far-right, satire website competing with The Onion. The Onion is, of course, a corporate media satire website in America, but the Babylon Bee is like a conservative right-wing. But I think, Elon Musk is right in this interview by describing the Babylon Bee as centrist. Actually, it's actually a centrist website. Let me just remove this mask. It's a centrist website in which it has right-leaning tendencies, but we're not going to talk about that. So, all right, this is the interview that I'm talking about. So it's very interesting. And as you already know, Elon Musk is the second richest man on earth with $155 billion in assets. And most of these assets come from SpaceX and Tesla. And all right, let's react to this video, shall we?
Maybe you guys can tell me, like, what's the, how did the V get started, and yeah, what's your deal? And why are you in California?
Why are you in California? By the way, a little context. Elon Musk has been trending over at Twitter for a couple of days because of his spat with Elizabeth Warren or Liz Warren. As we all know, for those non-Americans, Elizabeth Warren is one of the most liberal senators in America, and former president, or probably now President Donald Trump, called her Pocahontas. And what's really hilarious is that Liz Warren, or according to Elon Musk, Senator Karen, claimed that she is a Native American. She's been claiming that for decades, when in fact her ethnicity result shows that she's 1 in 24 Native American. I probably have more Native American genes in my blood, and I'm a full-blooded Filipino or Malayan ethnicity than Senator Karen or Pocahontas. So Liz Warren was questioning his tax returns, that she's not contributing to American economy, etc., and that Elon Musk is a freeloader. And this senator, let me just show you the tweet that I'm talking about. So Elizabeth Warren's Twitter. By the way, my Twitter was banned, okay, by Twitter for the nth time for criticizing BLM and exposing liberal propaganda and racism, not only in America but on earth. Okay, the most racist political party on this planet is actually the Democratic Party, but that's going to be for another story. So in this tweet by Pocahontas, okay, the Native American pretender in America, and she became a senator. Not only that, she became or she was given a teaching position in Harvard because of that claim that she's a Native American. Because in America they have this what we call diversity hire culture. Okay, the affirmative action that is racist, so racist against Asians. Okay, I'm getting derailed here, but if you didn't know yet, okay, many Asians in America, Asian students sued Harvard and other Ivy League schools, okay, for being racist against Asians because of this racist affirmative action that has been so racist and discriminatory against Asians, but favoring Native Americans and blacks. And that's the reason why Elizabeth Warren claimed and has been claiming for decades that she's a Native American when she's not, and she's a pathological liar. So in this case, the case filed, it's a class lawsuit filed by Asian students in America against Harvard. That case was shut down. It was shut down by creepy pedo Joe Biden's AG or Justice Department on day one, I believe. I think on the first day that President Biden became president. Okay, after he was installed by these liberal elites in the fake news media in 2020, his Justice Department, being led by A.G. Garland, okay, that Nazi Justice Secretary of Biden, he shut down this case filed by Asian students against Harvard for discriminating against Asian students. Okay, so affirmative action in America is racist, discriminatory, and bigoted against Asians. Okay, not just students, but against Asians as a whole. All right, so that's the background, and that's the reason why probably he's being interviewed by Babylon Bee, because Elon Musk has been making a lot of noise and news over the past few days. So let's continue.
There are just a lot of no-fly zones with a lot of comedy, and then you realize it's like, wait a second, is comedy is the comedy getting at an essential truth, or trying to, or is there a propaganda element, or is it trying to push you in a particular direction? Or getting to an essential truth that is humorous, and when it stops trying to get to an essential truth that is humorous, then it's just not that funny. I'm not saying the B is moderately right. It is not something not far right. My impression is not that. I would say that the B is not probably. It wouldn't be accurate to say the B is fully centrist.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He said the B is centrist.
It's something not far right. If 1 is fully left and 10 is fully right, the B seems to be about 6.5 towards the right.
So Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Babylon Bee, Hitler. Somewhere on that scale.
Yeah, it's not, but it's a. I mean, the B is, I think, less right than say the Onion is left, for example. So the Onion, I think, would be more left than the B is right. Rightist, whatever.
Yeah, rightist.
The problem with this right and left spectrum is that it has no definition at all. They're being used as smear terms in today's politics. So you are a rightist, and therefore you're a Nazi. So American media, the fake news media, had been so successful in this type of propaganda that they successfully painted the right or the right wing as the Nazi party or the Nazi camp, and the left are the compassionate, etc. And as we've seen, even Russell Brand talk about the left being compassionate when there's nothing compassionate about socialism and leftism. So this left and right political spectrum are just smear term. It's actually personally, I think it's about being pro-freedom and less freedom, or big government versus minimal government. So that's how I see the political spectrum, and it should not be identified as being left and right, because these terms are actually meaningless. They're meaningless, and they're being used as smear terms by both camps, actually, by both the liberals in America and the conservatives and the Republican. Because who are the rightists actually? On the right camp, for example, we have conservatives in America. In American politics, we're talking about American politics only. who are these groups on the right spectrum. So the conservatives, okay, when we speak of conservatism in America, they are the religious political groups, okay, and then we have, well, Republicans. So the Republicans are a combination of conservatives and the libertarians. So the libertarians are also part of the right spectrum, okay, in America. So the libertarians are either non-religious or atheist. Okay, I'm an atheist, like I said, and if I were an American, I'd probably, identify myself as a small L libertarian, and under the libertarian camp, we have a small L and big L libertarians. So the small L libertarians are pro-capitalism, pro-minimal government, while the big L libertarians are, they're simply anarchists, pro-libertarian anarchism. So it's quite convoluted, and is that the right term, or the right pronunciation, or let me just say complicated. This is quite complicated. And on the left political spectrum, they have liberals, they have progressives, they have the Democrats, they have the communists. So it's a mishmash of all these political groups, okay, on the left, and the anarchists as well. So let's continue.
Let's put that on our Wikipedia page. Leftist propaganda.
You talked about the woke mind virus, and I was wondering if you could decipher this tweet of yours for me, because I'm not a programmer. You wrote.
Okay, before we get there, in this interview, Elon Musk talks about comedy as being made into some kind of propaganda. So remember that he mentioned the word propaganda, and that's exactly what's happening in America because of wokeism. All of these are interconnected. The wokeism in America, the political correctness is actually streaming from the politics of political correctness. So American politics has all this new culture, or the neo-cultures of wokeism, cancel culture, what else, the Me Too movement, and these are all impacting all political avenues in America, including comedy, sports, Hollywood, education. Okay, these are all impacted by all these new cultures because of the umbrella culture of political correctness. All right, and that's what he's talking about here. So are we talking about the truth here, or it's all about propaganda? So it's because the left, okay, when I speak about the left, I'm speaking of the Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, etc. These are on the left side of the political spectrum, right? If we're going to use the left and right, terminologies here. So basically, he's talking that the American left has already hijacked comedy, that they have turned comedy into a propaganda, and that's what he's trying to say here, especially that recently the liberals and the left tried to cancel Dave Chappelle for his jokes about transgenders, when Dave Chappelle, in one of his latest stand-up comedies, I forget the title, he narrated a story about a friend who is a transgender who committed suicide because that transgender, I forget the name of that transgender friend of Dave Chappelle, and she's also a comedian who looked up to Dave Chappelle, and they are best friends. Okay, and Dave Chappelle said that that transgender friend of his committed suicide because he was bullied. He was bullied by the transgenders, the political transgenders or extremists, including their allies. And that comedian, unfortunately, killed herself because of the bullying coming from this cancel culture left in America. So in the next topic, he's going to talk about coronavirus, and this is the question that is about to be asked by this Babylon Bee staff.
Trace route woke _ virus. What does that mean?
Okay, so trace route is a networking command to. So if you want to figure out a path to a particular server or domain, you'd say trace route, or in Windows, trace RT. That would show you the path to a particular source server, either an IP address or domain name. And it would show basically all the hops that it goes through, and the latency between each hop. And so
I know some of those words.
Yeah. So trace route would be like, where did it come from?
Yeah.
Where did the virus come from? What is its origin?
So did this work?
Wow. While I was watching this interview and I was on that part, about this. This is actually referring to this tweet by Elon Musk on December 19, a few days ago. Trace route woke mind virus, and he's been creating a lot of noise over the past days and weeks, like I told you. And not only that, he had this tiff or spat with Pocahontas, the Democrat Pocahontas, or fake Native American Senator Karen. He's also making news about where did the virus come from, and this reminds me of President Donald Trump. Okay, before he was defeated through fraud. I'm not going to mention the exact terminology because this Facebook site will be shut down by YouTube for simply mentioning the e-fraud. Okay, the e-fraud term. Okay, because as we all know, YouTube has been protecting creepy pedo Joe Beijing. Okay, before he became the puppet president of the liberals and Wall Street, they've been protecting him. And in fact, after he became president, or after he became puppet or pretending to be president, YouTube protected creepy pedo Joe Biden or Beijing by shutting down YouTube's dislike button. Okay, the reason why we don't have dislike button, and I'm telling you, this is not a conspiracy theory. YouTube shut down or removed the dislike button to protect creepy pedo Joe Beijing. So, okay, so this is the tweet that they're referring to. Trace route woke mind virus. So, this is actually a cryptic tweet. So, it means the woke mind as well is referring to, in politics, is referring to the liberals, the progressives, the Democrats in America. So where did the virus come from? It came from China, and he's not being explicit here or clear, but it's like a cryptic message about, okay, it's time for us to investigate where the virus came from and why the heck are the liberals, the creepy pedo Joe Biden party, not interested in finding who created, if this virus was created via lab, or probably it was accidentally leaked in Wuhan. We need to investigate that, and that's exactly what Elon Musk is trying to say here. Let's continue.
Command worker. Did you find
Read the comments. Read the comments and see. It is probably
Read the comments and see.
And arguably one of the biggest threats to monetization.
Also, not having enough kids, right?
Yeah, I think most people, if you just take a look at the birth rate statistics, you can tell what the future is going to be like.
All right, that's quite fast. So that's just a simple comment on coronavirus, but I think that Elon Musk tries not to expound on that now. He's asked about overpopulation because he also commented or tweeted about having lots of kids, which is actually a good thing, he said, and this also pissed off a lot of liberals and leftists in America. So, okay, let's listen to.
Because you can see how many children were born last year, and then you can say, like, is the birth rate trending down or up? And it's been trending down basically almost everywhere. So if you look at the birth rate last year, you know how many adults there will be in 20 years because that's how many babies were born. The trend is like you don't have to be some master statistician or something like that. Yeah.
He's absolutely right. I mean, most of his politics are actually in agreement with mine because over the years, when I was in college, I was actually debating all this. There's an RH bill in the Philippines that became law under President Noynoy Aquino, and I'm an atheist, but then I supported people's right to contraceptives as well, but then I'm actually against the overpopulation measures of the government. So to many atheists and leftists in the Philippines where I live, they find me some kind of contradictory, but I'm not actually contradictory. So I'm not in favor of the population measures of the government, like spending people's money or taxes on overpopulation. In some countries, they have eugenics, measures like sterilization. In China, they had a one-child policy. So I'm against all those. So while I am in favor of contraceptives, that's actually a personal matter to me. Okay, if you would like to practice birth control or family planning, go for it. But I'm not in favor of the government spending taxpayers' money and then forcing people to not take or to take contraceptives, that I think is should be unconstitutional. And I really agree with Elon Musk's politics here, and he's definitely right.
You can just look at, because one last year, China is well below replacement rate, and a lot of countries have been well below replacement rate for a long time.
Correct.
The concern is that if you have
This really what separates Elon Musk from other billionaires like Bill Gates. Bill Gates has been, promoting population control over the past years, and in fact, that's the main focus of his foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
to climate change, then they'll kill the Earth, right? That's the leftist concern, is that we're overpopulating the Earth and that we're going to kill it. Are you trying to overpopulate the Earth so that we can go to Mars and take over?
I like that.
The Earth is far from
Is this a deliberate strategy?
the Earth is far from overpopulated.
Correct.
Far from overpopulated. So the thing that's necessary to minimize the chemical change to the atmosphere and oceans is to move to sustainable energy generation and consumption. So the three elements of a sustainable energy future are sustainable energy generation, primarily through solar, wind, some geothermal, hydro, and nuclear. Although they're shutting down all the nuclear power stations, so you're sort of cross that one off the list, which they shouldn't be doing. They should keep moving. They're really, unless a nuclear power plant is in a region of major natural disasters,
Instability or something.
Well, the good thing about Elon Musk is that he's contributing to all of these technologies that will help sustain Earth's population, right? Because in my own opinion, the best way to fight overpopulation, if it were a real occurrence, because I think that overpopulation is a subjective term. It's totally subjective because there's no overpopulation in many countries today, especially the developed countries. And I think that the best way to combat it, if this were a crisis indeed, is to improve your country's economy, because overpopulation follows country's economic situation. So the poorer the country is, the more tendency that it becomes overpopulated, because the people don't do anything. They don't have jobs, right? So the best way to fight overpopulation is to improve a country's economy, make it more capitalistic. That's the only way to do it. And all of these technologies, sustainable energies that Elon Musk mentioned, these are only possible in a free market economy. They're not possible under a socialistic or big government society. All right, that's the reason why Elon Musk chose to be in the United States than in South Africa, where he came from, or in Canada, where he's got some of his relatives, because he chose a society, so in America, and then from California to Texas, okay, he chose a society that supports his visions, because that's the only way for him to secure his business. Okay, he needs to be in a society that promotes free market capitalism and innovation. So the best way to do that is for him to transfer from California to Texas. So from South Africa, and then to Canada, from Canada to the United States, and in the United States from California to Texas.
So it's on the order of roughly a little over 100 miles by 100 miles, a section of land with solar panels would power the entire United States.
Yeah.
So like a little corner of Utah or Texas, it can power the whole country. So,
but that's only possible if America continues to be a free market society. But with the Democrats in power, with creepy Peter Joe Beijing in power, that's not going to be possible in the long run, especially that they have Pocahontas or Elizabeth Warren, the Native American liar and corrupt, pretender in politics. So let's get to wokeness. So wokeness here is being discussed at 13 minutes mark.
The problem of wokeness specifically, you mentioned that's like a mind virus and it's destructive. And why do you think wokeness is so destructive?
I'm interested in your opinions too. But, generally, I think we should be aiming for, a positive society, and, it should be okay to, be humorous. We should, wokeness basically wants to make comedy illegal.
This is what I like about this interview, and when he talks about wokeness, and this definitely reveals his politics, and that he truly understands American culture and politics now. And definitely because he's pretty smart. He's a genius. Okay, he wouldn't become a billionaire if he's not that smart. But the difference between Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, the number one richest man on earth, is that Elon Musk understands American politics better than Jeff Bezos, who supports the politics that can destroy and will destroy his business in the long run. So and the only reason I think that Jeff Bezos became the number one richest man on earth is because of pandemic, and pandemic is the main reason why Amazon became the number one company in America, the most profitable company over the past 2 years. So pandemic really helped Jeff Bezos become the richest man on earth.
Which is not cool.
I've experienced that.
I mean, Chappelle, like what? Flower bed. I mean, try to shut down Chappelle. Come on, man, that's crazy. So do we want a humorless society that is simply rife with condemnation and hate, basically?
Correct.
And no forgiveness, right?
Yeah. At its heart, wokeness is divisive, exclusionary,
Hateful.
and hateful.
That's the best, quotation that came from Elon Musk that I've ever heard so far since I watched his interviews in the past. He's right. Wokeness became the permission for the left to be hateful and vile, and that's the reason America had all these burning and riots and violent protests, killings last year. Okay, the BLM riots, Antifa riots, it's because of wokeness. And the American media, the fake news media, let the riots spread across America. And not only that, wokeness is because of Donald Trump. Okay, America had legalized purge. Okay, did you watch the movie Purge? Okay, that became real in 2020 in America. So looting was legal in many Democrat states, looting, killing, and in fact, the Democrats funded the riots. Okay, the group of Kamala Harris, now the vice president in America, the Hollywood elites, they funded the riots. They bailed out the criminals. And not only that, Democrat AG and district attorneys in many American cities and states, they released criminals. If you're saying that all of this is not true, just Google, just do your own research. They release criminals. They in fact shut down bail system in America. The criminals and all the rioters, they were bailed out. Okay, and they were released. And it's not surprising that after that, many Asians in America, especially elderly Asians. So there are two elderly Filipino. I forget the name of the elderly man. I think his name is Nepomuceno. He was attacked in uber Democrat liberal American city, and the other one is an elderly Filipino American woman who was attacked by a black guy in Manhattan, New York. If you watch the video of the Filipino American woman who was attacked outside a boutique in Manhattan in New York, and there were guards there, the guards did not help the woman. Okay, because the attacker was black. And that's the wokeness that they're talking about here. So if you're an Asian in America and you're attacked by a black guy, that's going to be the worst thing that can happen to you, because if you're going to defend yourself and probably kill your black attacker, the American media, the fake news media and politicians are going to destroy your life. They're going to portray you as a white supremacist. Okay, because of this wokeness. And this wokeness came or originated from America's political correctness culture. And this is what it's talking about here.
Mean people a reason, it gives them a shield to be mean and cruel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Virtue. What do you think?
It's right. I mean, the purge in America, the Antifa, BLM riots, the looting, not only in 2020, but this year, this gave the liberals the permission, like I said, the shield to be mean and to destroy their opponents. Their main goal is to destroy, well, in 2020, it was to destroy Donald Trump and replace him with a Democrat puppet who is now Joe Biden. So he's pretty spot on here, and I was surprised. I mean, my God, you're actually speaking what I had in my mind when I was, watching this interview. I mean, he's definitely totally awake, not woke. I mean, he knows what he's talking about, and it's a good thing that he's speaking up. Okay, most billionaires in America are afraid to talk about all these issues because they're gonna get canceled. Okay, the cancel culture is actually being used to protect the liberals and to attack their political opponents. The cancellation, for example, of J.K. Rowling, billionaire author of Harry Potter. Okay, she's being canceled by the very people who she helped. The cast of Harry Potter, for example, she's being canceled by these people that became rich because of her. And the only crime committed by J.K. Rowling is thought crime. Okay, by speaking her mind as a woman. Okay, by simply saying the truth about biology, that woman is a woman. Okay, regardless of what the left and transgender say.
I mean, we've obviously seen that from the left, just ourselves. The left is almost this religion now.
Correct.
They're so serious, and they believe what they believe with such intensity that for us to make fun of them, for them it's like you're making fun of God or salvation, So they're almost the new religious right, in our view.
Yeah.
He agreed with me. Well, you were pretty mean to Senator Warren, though, on Twitter recently.
That's why, Elon Musk is being canceled now. But they cannot cancel him because he's the second richest man on earth. All right? They're trying to cancel him in Twitter. And Twitter is just, a digital North Korea for American liberals and Democrats. So Twitter, for outsiders, for Asians, for example, and people like me, is just a porn site. It's a porn site for Filipinos.
Please don't call the manager on me, Senator Karen.
She struck first, obviously. She called me a freeloader.
I like that comment, freeloader. Technically, Elon Musk is, there's a term for this, an equal opportunity offender. If you're gonna attack me, I'm gonna attack you as well, and it's gonna be the end of you.
Grifter doesn't pay taxes, basically, and I'm literally paying the most tax that any individual in history has ever paid this year, ever. And she doesn't pay taxes. Basically at all. And her salary is paid for by the taxpayer, like me.
Could you even use TurboTax? Would that even work?
If you could die by irony, she would be dead.
Elizabeth Warren is the most parasitic politician in America. She's a freeloader. She's been freeloading all her life. I mean, she pretended to be a Native American in order to enter an educational institution, to have a job. Ever since she was a teenager, she was a student, up to the moment that she tried to run for president in a Democratic primary, but lost. She's a parasite. She's a fraud. She's a corrupt fraudster. I mean, she's nothing but, she got a teaching gig at Harvard by pretending to be a Native American. And that's what I'm talking about. So this is the affirmative action that stemmed from political correctness in America. It's all about political correctness. This affirmative action, the now cancel culture, the Me Too movement, etc. And the transgender movement, the pronouns, etc. All of this is because of the political correctness movement in America that has been there for decades, since the advent of the Frankfurt Marxist from Germany in the 1960s. So that's going to be another story.
Irony could kill.
What would happen if you walked into an HR block to file your taxes? Could they handle your case?
My taxes are actually not that complicated. I do not have any offshore accounts. I don't have any tax shelters.
It's just capital gain stocks.
I have basically Tesla and SpaceX stock, and Tesla is publicly traded, so all the information is public, and SpaceX is a C corp that is audited, has outside auditors, so it's with outside investors. So everything is extremely transparent. There are no elaborate sort of tax avoidance schemes or anything like that. H.R. Block could.
Yeah, because he's just paying capital gain stuff. So the government can only have the chance to tax him if he's going to sell his stocks, right? He's not an employee. So that's one thing that I don't know if the American liberals don't understand, but I think most of them are just dishonest and the rest are just stupid.